Hello, welcome everyone back to another edition of Energy Unleashed. My name is Suzanne Worthley with my co-host Kim Hess. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
How you doing
I
over
got
there?
some sun coming in here.
You got some
Sorry.
serious sun. Well, you got all the sun, and I'm in the cosmos.
Yep.
I like this sun. I think
That's
you're
weird.
well. It
Okay.
looks like you've just got a really special aura today.
There. Yay, me.
Yeah, angelic. Actually, it's funny because angelic aura, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so get this. These are usually, if you haven't heard us before, these are usually my practitioner client sessions, and we kind of expand and unleash the concept. And oftentimes I don't tell Kim a whole lot about what we're talking about so that we get a genuine reaction. And this one, Kim, was really interesting. I just had her the other day, new client. And it was amazing because the way that my client sessions work for any new listeners are, I do what we would call maybe a client intake. We have some conversation. We talk about how energy works, especially if they're a new person. And then we go through their intention, and then we go through a quick body scan, and then we do the so-called work on the table or the healing. So in this person, a new person again, I wasn't aware of their aura. I'm working on them the second they sit down. And actually, sometimes I'm working on them when they make the appointment, which is
Yeah.
really super funny. That's a whole nother podcast. But this person laid down, and the second she laid down, my room was so different in terms of the resonance and the vibration. And I see inside of my eyes for the way that my third eye works. I see inside of my eyes, and I could see so many angels around this person in terms of their healing. And I mean, it was like a horde. It was just like, oh my God, it was just fascinating. And I sat here thinking, it's so awesome to be a practitioner, to see how people are completely different.
Yeah.
And sometimes people come in and they just have this like council or this bevy or this whatever. Other times it might be ancestral. Sometimes it's more the galactics and the aliens or the fairies and the gnomes. But I mean, the amount of angels was astounding. And I haven't had that in a really long time.
I don't understand, because there are certain people that you can feel there's like angelic energy with them. I don't see all of the angels, like even with my eyes closed, I don't see all of them. But why do some people get all the angels? Like I love angels. I want angels.
I want angels. I was kind of thinking that myself because like I'm very alien or galactic. I don't get angels. And I'm going to be super honest. I mean, I'm very, very, very honest with my judgment and my wham. I mean, like, why don't I get angels? And I was kind of like, that's so crazy. So I was kind of pondering this, and I was thinking back about other clients and myself, and how does that work? And so really what I'm concluding, and again, take what resonates, and you might have a different opinion too, but what I have found is oftentimes when I have a new person, they will resonate to a realm. So if we've got dimensions, for lack of, going into a million things, we can just put numbers on them: 1, 2, 3, 4, layers and layers, like a layer cake of dimensions we live in, or planes of reality that we live in. And we traverse these dimensions. They kind of match our chakra system. We traverse those dimensions always throughout our day to create our timelines, our reality, etc. And each dimension has what we would consider and call a gatekeeper. We could do a really big one on this coming up soon in the new year too, on like what are those gatekeepers and break it down. But for right now, it's things like, the first dimension is earth, wind, water, fire. The second dimension is plants and animals. The third dimension is human. Fourth dimension, we're starting to get into things like the God worlds. Fifth dimension, ascended masters. Sixth dimension, going up into the realms. And so angels are around that 4, 5, 6 kind of thing. So when I'm looking at this new client, I'm like, in my head afterwards, I'm like, oh, this is so interesting, because what I find is oftentimes the person themselves will hold a resonance more so of a certain realm than the other realms. And it doesn't mean that they can't change and find information or resonate or have helpers from the other realms, but their primary home in terms of their soul and their contract overall and who they are as a co-creator in the big realm goes in alignment with one dimensional frequency versus the others. So this person in soul essence and their bigger essence of who they are in the hologram of all creational reality, every single probably knowing that they have, resonates with the angel realm. So it doesn't make anybody better or not better. It isn't a hierarchy of good, bad, or not. I'm higher, you're lower isn't a thing.
Mhm.
It's just different. And so this person will pull in that automatically for their healing.
Mhm.
So they resonate to that because that's where their soul kind of holds the bigger hologram. Does that make some sense?
So, okay, so my question is, are you like, if this person comes in, like you come in, your soul contract, you come in,
Yep.
the baby, child, all of it, is that really your home all the way through this lifetime and beyond?
I think, and again, this is the way that I see it when I go in. I think it's their home all the time for any incarnation, at any place, at any time.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that they can't traverse different ones. And it doesn't mean that they can't pull energies, guides, or assistance from, like, say, 2 or 10. It doesn't mean that, but it's their primary, it's their default program.
Okay.
That's a good
Well,
way to.
because I was curious when you're going through the ascension process and you're
Yep.
traversing these dimensions and, you know, then like if I'm in more 6 versus like 2,
Yep.
um, I would have potentially I could call on more angelic realm in what I'm doing, but I still
You're,
resonate with 2.
yes. Yes. So, like, if you're 2, if your primary default system as your entire essence really resonates to 2, you hold that 2 frequency, plant and animal kingdom, you hold that 2 frequency for all of the whole hologram. That doesn't mean just this incarnation. So,
Okay.
even if I come back 5 times, I can traverse. Maybe this lifetime I'm really in 3D. This lifetime I'm in 5D. This lifetime I'm in whatever D, right? But my primary pull and my connection and my anchor still is in 2.
Okay.
That's how I'm perceiving it. Now, I may die tomorrow and be wrong, but this is the way that I see
Well,
it.
wait, if that, will you come back and let me know the answer? If that's
I oftentimes think, we're going to die, and there's like, oh shit, I was wrong on everything. The way that my brain and my practitioner brain sees it and understands it is, we all are pieces in this hologram. It's like pieces in a puzzle. So I'm
right.
not going to be constantly changing my pieces as a soul essence. As a soul essence, I'm going to be consistent because this is holding that hologram. But as a participant in an incarnation, I can change that frequency where I'm pulling. So,
Okay.
for example, I have some clients that I start with, and we're going to talk about you in a second because you're actually similar to this. But some of these clients, I would, start out as like, oh yeah, that person's super earthy. They really hold Mother Earth energy. They're really like in 1 and 2, they've really got that. And then 5 years later, I'm working with them, and holy bananas, they're pulling galactic like crazy up in 6 and 7 and 8, right? So it doesn't mean that their primary changed. It means that they have evolved in this incarnation to be able to access that information from the higher realms. And
Okay.
again, it's not a value system. Higher doesn't mean better. I really want to make that clear to people. Just
Right.
because I'm a galactic and I'm up in 9 and you're down in 2, that's not a thing. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I think your mission or what you're here to do or what you're here as is already set with your soul contract. So,
And it's
but
almost even a
again,
little higher than your soul contract, Kim, because we've got our body down here connected to our soul. And I oftentimes use my hand as, a really great thing, that this is your soul, and all the fingers that are sticking out of your other lifetimes. And this connects to this body. This is even just a piece of me. I go, and this is what maybe resonates to 2 or 5 or whatever, right? But these incarnations can have existences in, oh, this one really resonated at 4 during this incarnation. This one really resonated at blah, blah, but that soul still stays at 2, right? Because it actually even goes higher than the soul. It's the essence of who I am. So let's go higher on that hierarchy of the hologram. After I'm human and down here and I'm having these soul incarnations and I'm having my soul and I have my soul family, I get to my essence as we go up higher to the God source. I get to my actual soul essence, which is even bigger and more broad and more open than my soul family, because I can still hold that 2 in my soul family and be with other family members that are maybe in 1 or 3 or 5, whatever. But when I get to my essence, in my opinion, again, when I'm in soul essence, this is where it stays the same, because this is why it's important to have different puzzle pieces. If we're all just essence, we're not holding the the hologram together in pieces to keep it stable. So there has to be twos, there has to be threes, there has to be ones, there has to be, do you see? So that the hologram in essence hangs in there. And then we can traverse it as we have different incarnations.
So that's a confusing little deal that you just did with we need everyone to be something different to hold the hologram.
Yeah. Okay. So
Maybe you
let's
want to
go think
touch
of a
on the
puzzle.
hologram.
Think of a puzzle. Okay.
Yeah.
If I have a puzzle, the puzzle has to have different pieces to have the picture, right?
Right.
Even though they're different pieces, I need to have the different pieces bring it all together for one complete picture.
Okay.
So I can have all the different pieces through my incarnations to have my own puzzle. But as we go to the larger puzzle, because we're a pattern within a pattern, remember, we're a little microcosm of the macrocosm reality. So in here, I'm doing little pieces to complete my soul, but I always have that consistent. We're going to use 2D to stay consistent in this conversation. If I'm a 2D soul essence, even though I'm in my incarnations, I'm having all different experiences, but I hold that 2D as my default program, my primary. And as I get into my soul family, I still hold that 2D because maybe my other soul families have different puzzle pieces to make that soul picture, right?
Okay.
So now I'm going even higher into soul essence. And again, we're starting to lose the concept of having individuality the higher we go, but still, we still need pieces to make that hologram stable. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So each time we go higher on that so-called flow chart, it's the easiest way to think of it, a corporate flow chart, right? Each time we go higher to upper management to God source, right? We start to lose our individuality because we all become one. But even at soul essence, we're still holding pieces of the hologram to keep it stable.
Okay.
So I'm still, even as an essence, my essence holds too. Okay.
Right.
Your
Great.
essence, you hold water, you hold mermaid, you hold 1 and 2. You kind of jump between those. I don't hold either of those at all. And in everything I do, I go way higher to the architecture. I hold way high up in the, I don't even know if there's numbers, but that doesn't, again, be a value system. That means that when I pull information through a download, things of my essence, when I ignite my DNA, when I do my inner soul work, my information comes from there. Your information comes from the other spaces.
Right.
It's all the same information, don't get me wrong, but it really isn't. This is where we get so confused because it is, but it isn't. And it starts to drive people crazy. So it's all the same information, but it's completely different. Meaning, my essence, my brain, my Suzanne, my everything down here sees things in the form of architecture. I see and I understand and I equate everything back to holographic architecture because that's where my soul essence is from.
Yep.
And your soul essence is not from there, so you don't even consider that a thing. So it's important for us to understand you have to be a different soul essence vibrational information hold because that needs to be accessed.
Right. Right. So from my, like we talk about me and what I do, I totally have that. I tap into the water, the mermaid, the whales, I don't want to be in the water necessarily, but I am like still feel it. I feel the sadness, the happiness, whatever comes from that. But now I'm like traversing because I'm writing prayer. So now I'm like tapping into or experiencing the angelic realm through writing.
Right.
So that's just in this lifetime. Now I'm experiencing this for what I'm here to actually do.
So you're pulling information now from the angelic realm. You're getting that information and you can see it and you can create it and you can access it. It's just like me, I'm the opposite. I primarily go here, but I, as Suzanne, can go into the water as well. I now, through my lifetime, can get things out of the land. I can get things out of the whatever I want to. So we can access it. But my primary default for holding together this bigger macro hologram still goes here and yours goes here. So that we've got a foundation and a roof to the building. Do you see?
Right. Yeah.
And there's other people that are the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor, etc. So it holds the holographic energy together because that's where we initially come from in creating the hologram. but we traverse it and jump all over the place as our skill sets increase.
Right. And so when you talk about like in other podcasts or whatever, doing the work and
Yep.
and opening yourself up to, so healing things that you no longer need or are important for you, releasing some of that. And as you do that and you open up, then you can start to traverse these other
Right.
dimensional frequencies.
Exactly. That's really well said, because now, like, if I come in at 2,
Mhm.
okay, and I'm really doing a lot of work to so-called lighten my load, get rid of the things that no longer serve me, open myself up to oneness, et cetera, et cetera. I open my heart starts to open. That's my 4D. So now I'm accessing 4D. Remember, we're a tiny little version of the all, right? Our chakra system is amazing. If I am a individual incarnated human body that opens my 4D in my heart chakra, I now can get into that bigger hologram of 4D.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But which is awesome. You're a perfect example. You came in at 1 and 2 more, like really holding that 2 specifically, and
Mhm.
you hold that, right, as your primary default system in your bigger everything, and you hold it on behalf of the macro hologram. But as Kim, as a human incarnation, traverses and opens up her own individual chakras, she starts to go, oh, here's a new access. Oh, here's a new download. Oh, here's some more information. So you're traversing and opening, which is awesome, right,
Yeah.
for
Right.
you.
Right.
But primarily, you'll still hold that one. So
Right.
now, does that mean anything changes? Does my client that I saw, 2 days ago,
Mhm.
come to me, once a month for the next 3 years and always only have angels?
Always
No,
have. Well, no, it doesn't mean
they'll
that
always
that's
have
the reason of
angels, but
angels, but they
yeah,
resonate with that frequency originally.
right. So maybe this client opens her heart or her throat really awesome in the next 2 years and starts to enter the galactic realm. Do you
Oh yeah.
see? Or
Great.
I can go the other way too. It's not always moving up. I
Yeah.
all of a sudden enter like, oh, I really got rid of crappy old belief systems in my root chakra.
Mhm.
I'm really starting to understand I am safe. Oh my gosh, now I can access Mother Earth. So we go up and down. It isn't always an up thing. We think up for ascension. We also go down.
So you've talked about before when the like chakras 1, 2, and 3, like root, sacral, solar. Are you as a collapse? So your essence stays the same still, but
I
your
think that they collapse, but they don't really collapse. And I think that, that's funny because I was just thinking about that in the car yesterday. I'm like, we've talked about the 1, 2, and 3 collapsing, and that might confuse people. I think we will always still have access to them in numbers for a very long time,
okay.
because this is a long process. The evolution of the planet, the systems, the timelines, the frequencies, the dimensions. I mean, all these are 26,500 plus year cycles. And what are we into it, 10 years or whatever. So these are things that it's important for us to know, that even a collapse of 1, 2, and 3 doesn't mean, oh, geez, I'm no longer accessing my root chakra and my belief systems. No, heck no, you are still
Okay.
totally doing that work.
Okay. All
It's
right.
just that we are pushing those together and almost making the work simultaneous, meaning if I'm working on my belief systems and my root chakra that my family gave me, it's probably also accessing my solar plexus for my power, because they're overlapping and working as a unified group.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Make a
So it's
little more
like weaving
sense?
together and more free flow can
Yes.
come together simultaneously. Okay.
Yeah. So when I'm clearing faster and quicker, but it doesn't mean that they're not still designated to certain life force consciousness levels.
Okay.
Meaning, oh, I'm collapsed in 1, 2, and 3 doesn't mean that I still don't have 1 being belief systems, really parents, rooted, safe, blah, blah, feelings and emotions and relationships and power center. I'm still going to have all those, but we find ourselves going, oh man, I'm clearing that root, and it's also simultaneously clearing my solar plexus. So we're doing faster work, quicker and more efficient.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do it faster. Get it
Yeah. Yeah.
done.
So, but conversely, not to throw a wrench in
Really?
all the beauty of that, conversely, I can also trigger. I
Yeah.
can trigger something so much quicker because all my triggers are combined.
Mm.
Do you see?
And
Oh,
that's honestly happening. I can see it with other people and myself. The
God,
triggers
right?
are, yeah, it's quick. It's like, wait, I thought I was already through that. Like I thought I really worked on that. Why am I feeling this again?
Yes. So
It's
let's do a specific. So now I'm triggering with family over the holidays, and oh my God, relationships are kicking my butt all of a sudden. I thought I was through that. Well, no, because now 2 has collapsed into 1, 2, and 3. And if my primary is 2, I'm also, as a homework right now, triggering 1 and 3 while I'm working on 2. It all gets messy. So our triggers are faster and quicker. However, hopefully, if we're doing the spiritual work, my ability to paradigm shift is also faster and better.
right. So
Right?
recognizing it and working to release it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so back to the soul essence, my personal opinion, and again, this is all how I see things as a practitioner and as my own human incarnation. I think it's really important to be able to understand, what's your primary, because that's where you get your fuel, right? That's that. Like, for example, tell any listeners, what does it feel like when Kim fills with the mermaid? What does she feel like?
Mm. It's like, it's just freeing for me. It's really, my heart just becomes so light, and it depends, like it can go either way when I'm by the water, because there's a lot of sadness in the water sometimes, and there's happiness in the, it's like, but when I sit down by the ocean or put my feet in the water, it's like, oh, like I just take this huge deep breath of like just refreshing air. Like
Right. And it comes in as really pure fuel.
yeah,
Right.
pure, totally.
Yeah.
And I
And
feel
it's
very
like you're,
grounded into the, Mother Earth, and
yep.
and then all of a sudden you look around and it's just beauty everywhere. Like
Right.
you're in day to day, you're kind of heads down, running, doing this, doing that, and then you stand there and you're like, oh, it's just amazing, this
Mm-hmm.
place. So yeah,
So that's that pull. That's that primary fuel. That's that, oh my God, high octane. My gas is awesome today, right? That's our personal responsibility, by the way, in my opinion, is to find out what that is.
right.
And how do we do that? We do that because we just know internally. Do the work to know internally, meaning I love, if I have to pull my earth, wind, water, fire, mine is air and fire, because I know that feeling of air. And I know that when I see an eagle, and I know that when I see a fire. So find your primary earth, wind, water, fire, and then attached to that for you is moving into that manifested form of it, meaning the mermaid. And mine is manifested form way up here and wherever, right? So we start to understand that primary fuel. That is awesome. That's usually what I find in a client. But as we do our work and we start to open that next chakra and that next chakra and that next chakra, right? We're again having more access now. I'm up in here and I'm having more access to, oh my goodness, now the ascended masters are coming. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling people like, Jesus or, Buddha or whatever, right? I'm finding all of these new vehicles of new gas. And
Right.
it doesn't take away your primary gas, it's just new gas. So my clients evolve. And I think that that's part of the fun of being a practitioner. You've evolved from just the water up into the water and the mermaid,
Yeah.
up into, now that you're doing prayer, you jumped all the way up into 4 and 5 to work with the angels. So we jump all over the place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's amazing. I didn't look at it that way before. Like that frequency are what I resonate with. I
And
think
you
that makes a lot of
and you
sense.
won't stay in 5 all the time because you're
Mhm.
not doing prayer all the time, right? So I can adjust my whole container's frequency resonance to go, okay, Kim's going into the work, or I'm going into a meditation, or I'm going into channeling, or whatever we do. We go click, and we take our primary fuel and we put that on autopilot flame, and then we access differently so that we can get new information. Now, when I'm done with that prayer, or I'm done with my meditation or my work, I go back out and then I come and anchor here. So we're traversing these all the time. And this is important for people to understand, because we are never in a frequency at one time all the time. It just doesn't work like that, because these different levels are what make timelines.
Right.
When we're accessing these and we're primarily weaving them like this is what creates the actual timeline of the creational experience. And then we times that by 7 billion people on the planet, and that's how we get timelines.
You wonder why you feel all these things.
Right? So
Yeah.
isn't that kind of crazy? I mean, it was really something cool to think about the other day, because I mean, again, my little humanness was like, I'm going to be honest, I was almost a little jealous. I'm like, what did I get all those
I
angels?
know, I want a room full of angels. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I mean, I'm like, that's crazy. Now, at the very same time, a client probably only about 2 weeks ago, hers was ancestors. Holy bananas. She had ancestors like you wouldn't believe. Like we're talking like lineage ancestors.
Yeah.
And then I had another one not all that long ago that was Native American. So it pulled in the native ancestors of the like not even biological or lineage ancestors, just the ancestors
Yeah.
of the actual earth itself, which was fascinating. So within the last 2 weeks, I've had very many. That's why it's so fun to do this for a job, because it's like, oh my God, oh my God. You know, I learn every day, because it's like this one accessed lineage for her family because there was some issues on belief systems or habits or whatever that we were working on.
Right.
Whereas the other person wasn't necessarily working on something personal, but had the ability to tap into something giant for ancestors because their primary fuel connected with the Earth planet, which is also healing. So this person, unbeknownst to them, is healing the Earth at the same time. I mean, we're crazy powerful.
I think that I had that experience with tapping into the lineage, and it was about baby sadness.
Yeah.
I went through this whole like past life lineage, but then it became more clear that doing that work led me more to the work with the water, which was really interesting.
Because you kind of go, okay, again, the reason why it led you back to the work of the water was work of the water is my primary. That's my default fuel. That's my soul's essence place of the huger hologram, right? But Kim is still a fractal of that, doing all these other things. Yeah. When Kim gets her work done, she goes back to her primary because we're also working on the big picture. So remember, we're simultaneously healing so many different things. So the more clear I am and the more clean I am and the more I can get rid of files and put it back to source, I always can bounce back to my primary, which then will give me almost a spotlight on the other areas that still need help.
Right. That's great. I mean, it totally makes sense because, you know, in dream state, so people might be sitting out there going, but wait a minute, I know in dream state I'm doing other things. It's not just my primary, because I definitely do some galactic in my dream state. There's things that happen.
So in dream state, it's because you're in 4D, which is the bridge to everything and anything. It's basically the heart of the whole process, meaning I have access to absolutely everything. So 4 can, 1 minute I can be on a spaceship and the other one I'm in inner Earth. You know, we're everywhere, and I can see my grandma, and all of a sudden I see my best friend from 3rd grade. You know, it's kind of the insanity of the dream space, because you're just accessing anything you want to. But then we wake up, and hopefully most of our soul essence drops back into this human container, you know, through our silver cord or whatever. It comes back into this Suzanne container, Kim container, to then go, okay, now I'm back here. So, I mean, think about how much we jump. It's crazy.
It is. I think you know, like you said, your essence is, there's just so many things. And, you know, to write it down, like as it happens, I haven't been doing that lately. And I told you, I've been having such weird, crazy dreams and different things that, because of being in that, like you said, that 4th dimension, like all kinds of things are happening. And
we're collapsing.
Like reality, like, wow, wait, I just thought about that for, you know, and then all of a sudden there's a weird person in there that I haven't seen for 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? It's so weird, because what we're doing is we're collapsing all those different existences. So think about it. If I have this life, I have this other simultaneous timelines going that I did not actually come to fruition because my presence is here, right? So what's happening is energetically, I can collapse these other ones because I'm not intentionally connected to them anymore. And there's no need for that. And I don't want to say waste of energy, but it's like a battery app is just running in on your phone on an app that's not working anymore. I'm not using that app anymore. So we're collapsing those. But it doesn't mean that Kim doesn't have some semblance of a kind of disconnected feeling, you know? Oh, I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking of that. Let's do this. I'm thinking of the guy who I loved in 5th grade. This is you. And there's a simultaneous timeline that I loved him in 5th grade and I ended up marrying him. Okay. But you didn't end up marrying him. So this has always been out there as a potential, but it never happened, right? So all of a sudden I'm thinking of the guy in 5th grade. I collapsed that timeline because it no longer has any value to me. I'm collapsing that and putting that book away, and it's going back to source. And then my 3D self, Kim, runs into the 5th grade boyfriend and goes, wow, thank God I never married him. Right? So we're closing chapters everywhere.
Okay. It's a good way to put it. Closing chapters like that,
Yeah.
like it didn't go anywhere. So why hold on to it? Put it back up. Yeah.
And there's a piece of Kim in 3D that's still running a narrative on, gee, I wonder whatever happened to so-and-so.
Yeah, that is
And you don't even know you're doing it, possibly,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But if that's taking up tape or energy or a program in your head, if that's taking it up and is no longer needed, a subconscious higher version of yourself is going to collapse the simultaneous timeline, get rid of it in your head so you can open up to your true essence more. It's crazy cool when you think about it. You were definitely cleaning our file system.
It's very cool. And cleaning, I mean, I like that you put it this way, because it's cleaning things up. It's so that you can open up more for, the growth.
Yeah, because now if I get rid of all that minutia that's kind of wearing my battery down, and I'm being more and more conscious of the work to raise my vibration to access different areas, I now have the energy, time, and value to go into, oh, I'm going to tap into 7 now, or I'm going to go up into the galactic realm now, even though I'm an earth person, or me being a galactic, I've been doing a lot of, I'm going to go into inner earth now, so I choose as a practitioner and as a person that does a lot of work, I choose where to access now. And as I make that choice, my subconscious file chapters will be given an opportunity to come forward and close and close and close and close.
Nice.
It's cool.
That's very cool.
It's a little chaotic, though, I'm going to be honest. This isn't like easy work, because you think you're a freaking nut half the time, because it's like, what the heck? And then you think you're even more crazy because you think of the 5th grade boyfriend and you run into him in Target and you're like, what is happening? Right?
Oh my God. Yeah. When, I'm far removed from where I grew up, so it's not likely to happen.
Don't think 5th grade boyfriend might not, all of a sudden appear.
Are you kidding? I got in so much trouble. He gave me a ring, and my parents found out through one of the kids I went to school with that my dad worked with. So
okay, I'm just using
give the ring back.
Example, and now you're telling me that you did have the 5th grade boyfriend going in the narrative in your head. Don't think that isn't a psychic hit. That's so funny.
God, that's so funny.
You still have the ring?
No. I had to give it back. I was too young to have a ring.
I had a 3rd grade boyfriend that gave me a brooch about this big, which, in 3rd grade,
than you were at the time.
You're like, oh my God, what do I do with it? But it's beautiful. It felt like the crown jewels, right? And I brought it home and showed my mom. And that evening she got a call from the 3rd grade boyfriend's mother saying, he stole my grandmother's antique pin and gave it to your daughter. We need that back.
That's hysterical.
Now I'm going to run into him this week. I don't remember his name, but yeah, I mean, these are the really kind of funny, goofy things that we're having happen, that you're reliving these things. And it's fun to have that memory, and it's silly and it's great, but it's also taking time and space that your evolution of yourself possibly needs to put into something that's much more effective for the overall picture.
Funny that you picked that.
That is funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that was a mouthful and a lot of stuff, but does that make some sense? Or any questions left on?
I think it makes sense, and it has built on some of the things that we've talked about in other podcasts. So I think that's really great. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. So, again, take what resonates, because I know that some of these will kind of go over and you're sitting there like, what is she saying? And that's okay. You might want to listen to it twice if you choose. Share it if you choose to. Subscribe, hit the like button, and comment. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, on behalf of us, Cosmic Hugs.
Bye.